Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. This is Dr. T, PhD, the prodigy of sports psychology, and I'm here excited to welcome back yet another one of my very favorite guests right here momentarily. Before I tell you who he is, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now, you've seen Bob Coursey, the founder of Modern Age Employment Law. He's going to be on here again talking to us. And this is going to be really cool because it's kind of going to be a continuation of the other video blog that we just had last time with Christy Wiegert. It's going to be a continuation. In fact, Christy Wiegert's going to be on the line with us as we're talking for the first few minutes with Bob. I pleaded with her to stay on just for a few minutes so that way they could see each other. And that way you get to see Christy one more time from my workout buddy. And this is so cool because we're going to talk about something really important to me, and that is my article that was published in the Journal of Performance Psychology. Bob's going to give us his perspective and help in terms of relatedness factors with personal trainers and their clients, or in his case, lawyers and their clients as well. So that's going to be really cool just to see that analogy and how that works together. So we're going to have him on here momentarily. And before he comes on, I'd also like to remind all of you that GoTarryn Health and Fitness is your time, your investment in your life. We'll be right back here with Bob Coursey and Christy Wiegert. Visit Atlanta again in the future here before the end of the year or next year?
In October.
Oh, cool. What's going on in October?
Nothing in particular. We're visiting family and friends. And hi, Bob.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Bob.
Hello there.
Bob, you remember Christy?
I
Bob.
sure do. Hey, Christy, how are you? Good to see you.
So, Bob, just to tell you real quick, Christy and I were just finishing our video blog just now, but since I knew I was going to have you here and Christy was on the line, I just insisted I wanted you guys to say hi at least, since I was telling Christy y'all are so close, neighboring states, and we've done one before together, so I thought it'd be cool just to say hi real quick.
Yeah, very good to see you. It's funny, last time I saw you, I think that day I was heading to Vegas to see Killers.
That's right.
And
yes.
tonight I'm not traveling. Well, I'm traveling down the street. I'm also going to see a show. I wore my Pink Floyd shirt because I'm going to see Roger Waters tonight down in Salt Lake. So, yeah. So for as far as you know, I'm just seeing a concert every single day, basically, right?
Christy, you're going to think Bob's not really an employment lawyer. He's really just a rock and roller. And every time you see him, he's just partying.
Yeah. Well, it's really good to see you, Christy. I love the gym setup. I remember it seems like is there something different? It looks brighter or something looks, I don't know, your background looks a little bit different than last time I saw you. Maybe not. New equipment, maybe it was just maybe you just had it turned in a different angle or something.
Could be time of day too. Or it could be the fact that the sun's coming in a different time. That's possible.
I have a ton of windows. And it depends on what time of day you were on the
Taryn, you look the same glasses, same green shirt in the car. Yeah.
That's what Christy said, the same thing. She said, "You're in your car again." And I think I was telling her, here in Atlanta, Georgia right now, the weather is really nice. I'm excited because we feel like we're getting the first hints of the autumn, fall, and leaves changing. Cool. You could leave your car open. You don't need the air conditioning running. I couldn't do this last time I talked to both of you, obviously because it was too hot. But Christy was telling me how kind of hot it's been up there. I'm guessing the same where you're at too, Bob, or I don't know. Salt Lake City.
Vegas is I can't remember if we talked about this. Vegas is usually a little bit, whatever we have here, Vegas is usually hotter. Not a lot,
gotcha.
Not a lot, but definitely enough to matter. But I tell you, man, we just went through a brutal period here, 10 days or so, maybe more, of 100 and plus most days.
Wow.
And just finally today, it's only going to get up into like, I think 95, and then it's going to start cooling down. So it's been crazy hot. And to the extent, I guess it's like on the national news. It's not just us. It's like a lot of the country is going through stuff like this. But yeah, I remember in Atlanta, summers are rough there, I mean, it's the heat and the humidity, but I remember it's like almost like clockwork. Every Labor Day weekend, it got much nicer right after that. And it seems too good to be true, but I remember that would happen with regularity. So that's probably what you're experiencing now.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I really like this time, like I said, and but Bob, the last 30 minutes before we just got on, Christy and I, like I mentioned, we were talking about something that I'm sure you could definitely relate to, because it's from that journal article that I was mentioning about the relatedness factors. And so, you have your relatedness factors between personal trainers and clients. And, with you've done the experience of personal training, obviously, but also your current majority experience of working with your employment law clients that you see for your work. I think those three themes, I'm guessing, I'm just taking a big leap here, but I'm strongly assuming that you could probably relate to those. And just as a refresher, what they were the emotional connection with your clients, the mutual caring relationship with your clients, and then the stretch goals, objectives / dissonance towards pushing your clients. I mean, is it fair to assume that maybe there's some relatedness there with you and your clients as well?
Yeah, you absolutely are not going out on a limb with that. Or if you were, I would say it's a good solid limb to be out on. And I did my homework. I actually read the. Do you call it an article, or do you call it?
Oh, thanks. Article.
Okay.
Sure.
Article. No fancy term. Yeah, and I would say absolutely. I was reading that, and like, of course, I can make the analogy of my relationship with my clients, or at least how I hope that relationship is, what I strive for it to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to, I mean, I'm happy we can go through the three different areas, or we could sort of just talk about it collectively. I also sort of like how in the chart on the back or towards the end, the factors, you suggest some things for clients to do also. So I'm like, oh, I should start putting that in when I do engagement letters with my clients. I should say, and by the way, here's some things you can do to make our relationship,
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. I was telling Christy, basically that 20-page article is a shortened version of the 350-page dissertation that I published with my school last year when I finished.
Oh, wow.
And so that table, that's a snippet of a bigger table that I made. And I can't take credit for it. I'll be honest with you. My chair, who was chairing me along the whole way on the committee, told me to do that. She said, it would be really cool, Taryn, is if you created a table and you did it in two different perspectives, one from a trainer's perspective, one from a client's perspective. That way you could help both. And you can also give this and share this with other trainers and also your clients. And when you're working with your clients, you can tell them, these are your goals, these are your expectations. Christy and I covered that a lot in the last half hour, because when I was asking her about her clients, she definitely, had the same kinds of experiences and how important the relationship is, or it's called relatedness, because the three components of self-determination theory are autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So we're just laser focusing on the relatedness, in my opinion, which is so important with not only personal training, but let's face it, employment law. And also you could take this probably to many other service industries, right? I would think, where you can talk about how important that is when you have someone working for another person for a very personalized goal, I guess.
Yeah, and another way to build on that thought, I think where this is relevant across a lot of different fields, and the common theme being, and please take this the right way, both of you, there are a lot of very technically skilled, very knowledgeable personal trainers out there, just like there are lawyers or employment lawyers, to be more specific. So what makes us special? I know that, after doing this for years and years, I know that I know the law. I know that I'm probably just one of the more knowledgeable employment lawyers out there, but that's not what I'm selling. That's not what my brand, that's sort of a given. But what I think differentiates me, or again, what I strive for to differentiate myself as is the relationship with the client. And if the clients can feel that, again, because they can go to, I can think of, many other lawyers who probably have the same technical skills that I do as a lawyer, but they may not have that ability to connect and have that relationship and motivate the client really sometimes in both the personal training and the legal services, and again, a lot of other fields where there's that there's, yeah, we all have the good technical skills, but what's the distinguishing feature? One of those is, how do we motivate our client? We know what our client tells us what they want, or we sort of help them get to what they need to do, whether it's, I need to increase my my bench press by 10 pounds. I need to lose 10 pounds. I need to run a marathon 2 minutes faster, or I need to comply with this employment law, or I need to get out of this sticky employment law situation. A lot of lawyers, a lot of trainers they can call there. What's going to distinguish the experience with us, and I know the two of you well enough that I can include you in this, is our personality, I guess you could say, but our also desire. And there are skills. There are actually skills involved in the relationship building too. Some of us have them very naturally. Some of us have to work on those skills, but it really does all come down to, and what's the term? Relatedness. That's a term I've not heard before, and I love it. It encapsulates so much of what I've been thinking about, really, especially since I've started my own company. Now that I get to make all the rules, I've been forced to think about this. Why would someone call me? Why would they not call my own company? Why would they not call another good employment lawyer? So, long answer. And you know me, you give me a question and I can long answer it for 5 minutes. So hopefully, whatever the original question was, hopefully I addressed it.
You did. I think that was great, descriptive. What was that, Christy?
So I did the same thing earlier. I went on and I went, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah. It's a topic that's fun to talk about, and I think we get excited to talk about it. So it's no wonder that we can talk about it at length. Oh, one other thought that I had. Do you want to say something? You have to go? Oh, you're not sticking around?
Okay.
Christy, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you hanging out. I just wanted you guys to be able to, but thank you though. I really appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for the last video.
Good seeing you, Christy. Nice chatting. I'll see you again.
Take care.
Okay.
All right. Take care, Christy. We'll
Stay cool.
All right, Bob. Please repeat what were you just saying there before we had Christy leave here? Yeah,
one of the thoughts I had as soon as I started looking at your article, and trying to think of what are some of the fundamental similarities in the relationship that a personal trainer has and an attorney has. And one of them on this topic is, I think, one of the challenges to us forming relationships, real genuine relationships with our clients, we're both basically, I know there might be exceptions, but we're both really paid for our time. We are paid for our minutes, for our hour, for our 50 minutes, or whatever our session is.
Yeah. Exactly.
And therefore, you can fill in your own stories as a trainer, but like as a lawyer, when someone calls you, a client calls you, let's say with an issue on the phone, I want to, my instinct after we talk about whatever their legal issue is, sort of get it resolved, I may want to chit chat. I may want to ask them how their family is, how their vacation was, get to know them as a person. I may want to sort of, BS them about stuff. And if that client thinks, correctly or incorrectly, that there's a timer going while you're having this discussion, and that's going to be costing them money, that's not a real conducive way to having a nice, organic, I sort of hate that word, but organically, formed conversation, creating leading into a real relationship. I don't know. So we're sort of stuck with, what's a typical training session? Do you do 50 minutes? 55 minutes, an hour?
In my case, I would say that I have different availability at times of doing 30 minutes or an hour. Typically, that's usually what I generally do.
Okay, so within those parameters, and I bill a lot of different ways, but people generally think of the hourly rate. So I have an hourly. So think of my time in terms of an hour. So we're sort of confined to, well, I have to I have to give my expertise to this client within that 30 minutes or 60 minutes, you know. I have to train them. How within that same time do I chit chat? How do I form a relationship? Because every minute I spend talking about life and philosophy and movies and sports and concerts and whatnot, are they wondering, hey, shouldn't you be, you know, helping me do this exercise or talking about my weight loss goals? Or should you be talking about whether, you know, that employee is exempt under the Fair Labor Standards Act? You know, I'm trying to examples from both of us. So anyways, just a thought I had that, you know, that's one of the challenges we have, that we're paid for our time. So there's a little bit of tension between how much of our time should we spend not providing the actual service that we are being paid for, you know, because you know, that's when a lot of the relationship building stuff comes in. So anyway, the answer, I'm not sure what the answer is, but obviously you build the personal connection discussions into that time. I actually think maybe as a trainer you have it easier because you have all the time when the client is actually performing the exercise.
Right, exactly.
I mean, sometimes you're correcting form, sometimes you're counting, sometimes you're doing a lot of things, but that's when you can maybe sort of chit chat. Whereas a lawyer, there's not really any of that no talking time. You're one person or the other is usually talking. So anyway, just a thought I had. And you know, again, not that I have an answer, not that I think it's, you know, the be all or the end all of the conversation, but I think it's an interesting component of both of our jobs, and again, a lot of other jobs where we have skills or information that we sell basically to clients and usually on a time basis. You know, they pay for units of our time. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
And you're right. And let's face it, I mean, it is a lot of money. Certainly, you know, a lot of people wouldn't be able to afford the services that either of us provide, you know, depending on, you know, where they're at in life. But in both cases, I would strongly suggest that they're a necessity, that people would definitely need help and aid, whether it's from your services or mine. And, you know, that's why we're doing what we do. We certainly have our available technical skills to offer, and there are people who definitely need us. But you said it right at the very beginning, in terms of, I agree strongly that what makes us different from when they can go down the street and get someone for, you know, just a little less money and, you know, offer the same services. So it definitely makes us stand out a little differently of, you know, how we can market and promote ourselves to that client that we're, you know, trying to sell our services to.
Yeah. So, and your article, again, I loved how it broke it down into the three areas. I guess you broke it down into one of the three big components. Is that what you said?
Correct. That's right. Exactly.
And then you broke that. Then you broke that component down into three subcomponents.
That's exactly right. Yes, that's right.
So it's, and I love that because it helps you like really dig in and conceptualize on a more micro level. So anyway,
yes,
I thought it was
definitely.
the first one. I think it was the first one. There was an example of one of your interviewees talked about a personal trainer who would basically set him or her up on a machine or an exercise and then look at the girls, you know,
and that's so funny you just said that, Bob, because that is the one example that Christy did in her video blog on the last one. That's so funny that you brought that up.
It's pretty dramatic. You can really imagine as a client how annoying that would be. And I was trying to again say, okay, what would be an analogous situation? It's not, I mean, I guess you could have that somewhat of a similar situation with a lawyer, just, you know, ogling women around the office. But the point is, the lawyer or the trainer wasn't really present, wasn't and it goes back to what I said before. For freak's sake, you're paying for 1 hour or 30 minutes. You can be present with that client for the 30 minutes or for the hour, or however long it takes. And I don't know who that trainer was. I hope it's not someone you know, or hopefully it wasn't you, Taryn. Hopefully it wasn't you. But you know, I hope that client, you know, put their money where their mouth is and went somewhere else. You know, that's not, you know, that's how you avoid that is you stop working with that trainer or that lawyer who doesn't make you feel like you're fully listened to. And I think, again, this is something, it's going to sound egotistical or cocky or whatever, but I say this because clients have said it to me, that they really appreciate how they really feel like I'm there and I'm listening and I'm truly trying to understand, their specific issue, but then also the underlying issues.
Yep.
And again, I know for a fact, at this point in my life, I know for a fact, not only from hearing it from my clients, but thankfully I haven't had to engage lawyers often in my life, but a few times in life. I think most of us at some point in our life, for one reason or another, will talk to a lawyer, hire a lawyer. And I've had some good, some not so good experiences. I know what it's like. And again, I will say, I'll make the analogy again. I've also worked with personal trainers, and I'll say the same thing. Some good, some not so good.
Yeah.
I know that experience. It wasn't someone staring at the aerobics class looking at the girls, but I know the experience of, I'm paying for your time. I don't feel like you're really listening to me, or you're really giving me your attention and time right now, or I don't feel like you're giving me a cookie cutter solution to a problem. You say, it feels to me like it doesn't matter what I just told you for the last hour, you'd be giving me the same solution as you're giving 10 other people,
Right.
So all those things, I think, again, tying it together, very analogous, I think, in both of our fields, in a lot of professional services fields. So again, I'll just say, nice job on the article. And what did you say? 200 something pages? I was thinking there was a couple points that, like, even in the abstract or these, I was like, oh, that's getting a little technical there. I'll sort of skim over that part. I can't even imagine how technical and detailed your 200 and something page version had to be.
Yeah, certainly. It was definitely the hardest, academic challenge of my entire life, writing something like that and having it published. I finished that last year, around this time maybe. And then, so my chair at the time, the dissertation chair, basically told me, if you want to get published, what we need to do is take this, dissertation and cut it down to 20 pages to submit to, in this case, we submitted to the Journal of Performance Psychology. And she said that, I think you've got a really fascinating, unique study here that hasn't been done. It's very different in its kind. So, and so I was happy that, I took her direction, her lead, and I just did that. We just condensed it to the most fundamental, important things that you need for a journal article that's peer reviewed. And, they seem to like it, the editorial folks who accepted it and published it. And so what's cool, Bob, you'll appreciate this. I really am excited about this. That was my first and only article that I've had published, but I'm going to take my dissertation chair's advice of what she told me to go from this point on was, as I mentioned, relatedness was one of three components of self-determination theory. I have the data of the other two components, meaning I have all the autonomy results and data analysis, and I have the other component, which is competence. I have all the data analysis. So what I'm talking about and getting to is, I can't wait, because now I'm going to submit and hopefully get published 2 more articles right away, one on competence and one on autonomy, and just copy the same format that I did for this article to a different journal. I'm hoping that a different journal will take a look at that and find it interesting, hopefully. But that's what I'm excited to do with that.
That's really cool. And I've got to think, I hopefully not jinxing you, but I've got to think that you've done most of the work, so much of the work, not only in gathering the research,
Correct,
but even, like you said, because now, you just plug it into the same format,
I'm hoping to do it that way, right?
Yeah,
that would save so much time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations for what's already happened.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Awesome, exciting news about what you have in mind. I love that. Yeah.
But, it's funny, Bob, because, like, for me, and I think we're the same way too, that we're driven to perform, and we're incentivized by wanting to do a really fantastic job, and really, both you and I have a lot of pride. I think we have high expectations, because you and I both want the clients we're working with to think that we are the best. And in terms of challenging ourselves, one of the things that I wanted to personally do is challenge myself to being able to get an article published one a year from this point on, because my brain has really gone that academic route because I teach part-time. I'm a dissertation chair now myself. I have about 6 doctoral learners that are trying to get their PhD that I'm trying to facilitate and get their PhDs eventually. Yeah. So that's kind of the direction that my brain has gone now with in life, just thinking. I get excited about that because I get excited about this is great. These are new insurmountable goals that they seem insurmountable because people told me when I first went for my PhD, they said, you'll never finish. It takes too long. You'll never be able to do it. There's only less than 1.5% of people in the country that have a PhD. Why are you going to try to do that? But I get fired up from that. I just get to that, what's that saying? Like, oh no, I can't hold my beer. Let me give it a try. And, I just kind of get that way, that challenge. I think you're the same way too. And, it definitely, I think that's what really inspires and motivates people like you and me to push ourselves and just see how far we can go. And why not? Why not go for big goals like that?
Well, I love that goal, Taryn. That's a big goal. And
Thanks.
it's also, I just love that you're combining the practical. You're still out there with clients on a daily basis, but you're also combining this totally other academic side of things.
Right.
And I think, and that reminds me, there's a question I want to ask you, if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
So you did all this research, you're hearing from, and let me ask you, maybe it was in here. If so, I missed it. Were any of these your clients?
No, good question. They were not. So that may not have been in the article. In fact, I don't think that would have been in there for you to know. In the dissertation, basically, when it talks about the sample, it started from the population of basically clients living in Georgia, let's say, down to a target population, millennial clients who lived in Atlanta, Georgia, down to the sample, which were personal training clients who had worked with a personal trainer in the last 6 months for an average of whatever it was, twice a week, who wanted to achieve goals. That was my sample of those 10 people. These people were recruited via, have you ever heard of an Amazon Mechanical Turk? Does that sound familiar?
No, but that's the first time I ever heard reference to it, was in the article here. Is that some kind of survey? Like, is it like
Correct.
Survey Monkey?
Like a Survey Monkey, right, exactly. Yeah. Yes, it's Amazon's platform. And
Okay.
What's cool about it, Bob, and you could use this in your field and any other research fields as well, is that that's a great way to find people with a very minimal cost and a maximum of output. And that's how I found I think for less than about $500, I got my sample within 2 weeks. In other words, I had the 50 of the target population who filled out the surveys. And then out of those 50, I incentivized more money to the 10 people that I interviewed who came to me and said, I want to, be a part of the sample. And for less than $500, I got my whole sample done in less than 2 weeks. That's unheard of, to be able to get results like that. I mean, it's amazing. And I didn't know about Amazon Mechanical Turk. I had a millennial client of mine tell me about that, and they educated me on it. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, this is great. Because originally my idea was very antiquated. I was going to go to gyms. I was going to have a raffle bucket. I was going to have like 3 gift cards. Say, hey, if you
I picture you out there just like tracking people down.
Oh, and my chair told me, she was like, yeah, it might take 2 months, 6 months. Don't get discouraged. And in less than 2 weeks, Amazon. So I'll tell you right now, it's amazing when they have let's face it, things like Amazon. I know people beat up on Amazon saying, oh, they're too big. I don't want to boycott them. But let's face it, some of the good that they do in terms of this, they help me out a lot with my market research. Yeah, and so it's again, I highly recommend it for people who need any type of market research or help. Companies, be it small companies, mid-size, large, I think they can all benefit from a service like that. So I was very excited, very happy that worked out for me.
Yeah. Again, like I said, that's the first time I ever heard about it, but I could tell it was something that made your job a lot easier.
Unbelievable.
But anyway, my question was, so it wasn't your clients. That was sort of a side issue, but taking you as an academic, you learned all this information about what clients are looking for and what they like and don't like.
Yeah.
Here's the question. Did that change anything about how you actually worked with clients? Did you learn anything yourself? Did you say, well, gosh, maybe hey, I could change some things about this. I'm getting some insight that I didn't really hear before from clients. Just curious, did that change anything about how you practice your job?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I never thought about that question actually till you just asked it. I mean, philosophically, from the whatever it's been, 25 years of personal training, I think that I've learned as much as I know and have synthesized the best of the best practices to implore with my clients when I'm working with them. But to directly answer that, did I learn anything? I bet I did. I can't think of it right now, but I'm sure that I must have learned something from those 10 interviews and that thorough data analysis. If I went back and I listen to those interviews or I read the transcriptions, I'm sure there's stuff in there that I would think about a different way because, so I'll give you an example. Christy and I talked about this in our video blog on the most recent one. So when we were talking about you can't just generalize and say to this client, here's your workout and prescribe them that. And then the next client say, here's your workout. Cause it's probably gonna be 180, kind of like what you were saying a few minutes ago, is cookie cutter. You can't do that
Yeah.
with personal training clients. And so in my philosophy of personal training, I've always taken my clients and basically set them up on a pedestal and they're the center of my world. And that hour that they hire me, I look at them and they are like literally the most important thing in my life for those 60 minutes. I make them feel that way because I really do want whatever they're there for to come see me. Did anything academically change when I was listening to those clients? I guess first response is, I mean, kind of like, not sounding braggadocious or whatever, but I could just see myself saying, I knew that, I figured that's the way it is. But if I take myself back and look at it from a different perspective and honestly, objectively kind of answer that, I'm sure there's things in there that I could learn from. Maybe just, again, not maybe involuntarily or in the back of my mind. I haven't thought about it subconsciously, but I'm sure there's things that I can take away. Do I think that it helped me? Yes, absolutely. Because that table that I was talking about that I made at the end there, I think that certainly would have helped a lot, and so I think that I was happy about that had worked out the way it did. And anyway, I hope that kind of answers that question, but in
It
terms
does.
of
It does. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. And I'm not
no,
surprised.
it's a great question. It's very
Not
fair
surprised
question.
to hear you say, Taryn, that and it's okay to. I don't even know if this is a humble brag. It's okay for you to say, well, I sort of knew all that stuff already. Because it is. I mean, that's why you're studying it. It's not a surprise.
Right.
But
yeah.
I do think you're probably right. I bet I bet if you went back and heard all the responses, not that you'd have a moment like, holy crap, I've been doing this wrong for 10 years, but you'd probably have either some nice reinforcing, statements like, yeah, that's a good reminder of why it's so important, why I do this.
Yes.
Or just some new twists or nuances on some things you're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I also want to
question.
say, I know we have limited time, but I just want to say and it sounds like your advisor, or is that what you called him or her?
Yeah, she was
really
my dissertation chair.
Yeah, good advice. Because this table, I love that it's a lot of academic papers are missing action items.
Right, exactly.
And this table is actually something you could give this to a personal trainer, and they don't have to read the rest of the article if they don't want to. You could just say, hey, if you want to have a little bit better relationship with your clients, think about these things. So
right.
I commend you for that too. That's really cool. And I seriously, I'm gonna read this a couple more times and
Oh, you're too kind. I appreciate
and really
it.
think about it in terms of my relationship with my clients.
Oh, wow. Again, that's very humbling and flattering that you said that, Bob. I'm really, again, grateful for you even saying that. I just truly appreciate. I never would have. I'm honestly saying this. I never would have thought that I would add any type of influence or impact for a fellow colleague in that regard. But that's just truly humbling. I'm at a loss of words. So I really appreciate that. I mean,
You just well, you're certainly welcome. You deserve that kudos and more.
Thank
you worked your butt off. I know that this little abstract of the article that I'm seeing, especially now that you shared with me, I know that was tons of work, tons of hours, blood, sweat, and tears, probably, and all that kind of stuff. So,
well,
nice
thank
job.
you. And again, I appreciate that, Bob, and nothing that you're not familiar with, because I know you're a hard worker, and I know that, like you said, we are about to end here. And before we let you go to Pink Floyd and rock out and on your concert, Tell us the best ways of people watching how they could reach you directly, please, Bob.
Okay, thank you. I always forget to put my name here. My name is not guest user. My name is Bob Coursey. I have a company called Modern Age Employment Law. You can find the website at www.modernagemploymentlaw.com. My email is my name, Bob Coursey, at modernagelaw.com. I'll say it again, Bob Coursey at modernagelaw.com. You could also, if you want the more playful side of me, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, on Instagram and Facebook. I am on LinkedIn too, if you want the more business side of me. But anyway, it's always awesome talking with you, Taryn. I love that
Likewise.
you found a way to have these our two seemingly different worlds. We're finding this connection each time we
yeah, thank you, Bob. I can't thank you enough, and thank you so much for your busy schedule, your time coming here, and I truly enjoy this always. So let's please, if you have another 30 minutes to spare in the next month, let me hit you up, and let's do this again, please. It's so much fun with you.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, good seeing you.
Excellent. Well, you too, Bob. You take care, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, Taryn. See ya.
Bye-bye.